Today we're going to explore Montparnasse district. Now we're standing at the intersection of Boulevard de Montparnasse and Avenue de l'Observatoire. Here you can see a monument dedicated to French naval officer and explorer who explored Indochina, Francis Garnier. He died in a skirmish near Hanoi in 1873, and nowadays his ashes are kept inside this monument. Port Royal railway station was built in 1895. Nowadays it serves local train network RER. As we walk along Boulevard de Montparnasse, to your right you can see a cafe. This is famous La Closerie de Lilas. This cafe has attracted literary figures such as Ernest Hemingway, Francis Scott Fitzgerald, and Henry Miller. It is rumored that Fitzgerald read his manuscript of The Great Gatsby to Hemingway on this cafe's terrace. In the 17th century, students who came to recite poetry in this hilly neighborhood nicknamed it after Montparnasse, home to the 9 muses of arts and sciences in Greek mythology. The hill was leveled in the 18th century to construct Boulevard Montparnasse. During the French Revolution, many dance halls and cabarets opened, becoming gathering points for artists. Now we are approaching Rue Boissonade. French writer Romain Rolland lived on this corner. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1915, and the formulation was that this prize was given to him as a tribute to the lofty idealism of his literary production and to the sympathy and love of truth with which he has described different types of human beings. His most known novel is Jean Christophe. Rolland lived here during a profoundly transformative period, writing much of his significant work. Now we are turning to Campagne Première Street. It used to be a private lane owned by a revolutionary general, Alexandre Camille Taponnière. He named this street after his first military campaign, Battle of Wissembourg. Also called the First Battle of Wissembourg. It happened in 1793, and it was a battle between the young French Republic and the German Habsburg Empire, joined by French monarchists fighting the Republic. And this house was a studio of French sculptor and animalier, or person portraying animals, François Pompon. This house, built by architect Taberlet with recycled material from the Universal Exhibition of 1889, housed 100 studios, occupied by people like painter Otto Fries, Giorgio de Chirico, and the famous Austrian writer Rainer Maria Rilke. Painter and illustrator Bernard Nodin lived in this building. Mobilized for World War I as a sergeant of infantry, he created war illustrations and earned the Legion of Honor in the Battle of Aisne. After the war, he continued his work and designed the diploma for the Paris Olympiad in 1924. In building number 14 was a studio of Yves Klein from 1958 to 1962. Also there lived famous poets Arthur Rimbaud and Paul Verlaine. Here we can pick out Passage d'Enfer. It is a private lane, only accessible to its residents. It is all that left from the street d'Enfer. There are several theories about the origin of this name. Enfer means hell in French, which might reflect the street's ill reputation. Another theory is that it is from Via Inferior, Interior Street. Some say it is from Enfer, made of iron. Today there is a d'Enfer Rochereau square nearby, named after General d'Enfer Rochereau. But part of his name d'Enfer has nothing to do with the old d'Enfer Street. It is just a coincidence. We are passing Hotel Istria. As we can see on the plaque, some famous people lived there. For example, Elsa Triolet was a Russian-French writer and translator. In 1944, Triolet was the first woman to be awarded the Prix Goncourt in literature for her novel Le Premier Accord coûte 200 francs, which means first fine is 200 francs. Which is reference to a code phrase used during the landing operation of the Allied forces in Provence during World War II. She married Louis Aragon and influenced him to join the French Communist Party. Also there lived famous Soviet poet Vladimir Mayakovsky. This magnificent building was constructed by architect Andrei Arvidson in 1911 for its decoration, also known as Majolic House. It was home to poet Ezra Pound. Artist Man Ray lived here from 1920 to 1930 with celebrated model Kiki de Montparnasse. Man Ray's work, Le Violon d'Ingres, was sold for $12 million at auction in 2022. Here, from this viewpoint, the last scene of famous film of the New Wave was shot. À bout de souffle, Out of Breath, or Breathless, by Jean-Luc Godard, starring Jean-Paul Belmondo and Jean Dorothy Seberg. As it is set on Rotten Tomatoes website, Breathless rewrote the rules of cinema. We reach Boulevard Raspail. From here we can see the Tour Montparnasse. This tower is the tallest skyscraper within the Paris city limits since 1973. Its height is 209 meters. This small park is dedicated to Yves Klein. This park features benches painted in international Klein blue, a color that Yves Klein developed and patented. In the building that we are approaching now, once was a studio of Pablo Picasso. Another illustrious street in this part of Paris is Rue de la Gaîté, Street of Joy. In 18th century, this street situated outside of the fiscal barrier, where certain goods such as wine incurred a city tax when crossing. Some establishments, in order to avoid this tax, were opened outside of this barrier. Theatre Rive Gauche, originally a cabaret club, later transformed into a cinema. It became the Theatre Rive Gauche, or Left Bank Theatre, in 1994. Today's playbill features two pieces. La Maison de Loup is about the life and works of the famed American author Jack London, and the other, Castle, is about Joseph Cassel, French journalist and novelist, member of the French Academy and Grand Officer of the Legion of Honor. Now we are passing the Comédie Italienne, Italian Comedy Theatre. It was opened in 1980. The famous music hall Bobino stood at this location. Named after the 19th century clown, Bobino housed a cabaret and later a music hall from 1873 until its demolition in 1985. Now a new theatre, also named Bobino, stands here. Montparnasse Theatre. The Montparnasse Theatre was built in 1886. Inaugurated on October 29, 1886, the building was designed by the architect Charles Penier, who also contributed to the construction of the base of the Statue of Liberty in the New York City. This old photo shows tracks indicating that this street was served by a streetcar in the past. Theatre de la Gaîté Montparnasse. This establishment was built by a lemonade vendor, and he used materials salvaged from the demolition of the theatre at the 1867 Universal Exhibition. Daguerre Street, named after Louis Daguerre, the inventor of the early type of photography. This street today is renowned for its vibrant market, offering a variety of fresh produce, artisan goods, and quintessential French culinary delights. While in Montparnasse, you should visit the Museum of the Liberation of Paris. This museum presents the history of France under German occupation during World War II, including the factors leading to the occupation.
La Grande Guerre a décimé la jeunesse française et ruiné le pays qui se relève péniblement des destructions.
Le vrai visage de la France, souriant et pacifique. Marie, permettez-moi de vous donner la parole.
The history of the Vichy regime. It explores the hardships faced by people under occupation. Celebrates the courageous heroes of the resistance. Visitors can also descend into the bunker used by the French resistance. and learn about the contribution of the Allied forces to the liberation of Paris.